And I want to introduce today's program is by the ETBF, European Champion Bowling Federation. They're one of our premier sponsors of this event, and we have two of there are top presenters. And I have Onder Gurkan here on my far right, and Juha, Maja, my left, or as they call it, Master Juha here, except from his wife. They're going to talk to you today about the coaching programs in ETBF. Some of you are not familiar with ETBF and what they do. That's one reason we asked them to be here, because they have a very good coaching program. And they kind of look at timing a little different than USBC. So without going into much of their time, because they wanted 4 hours, we put out half. 4 days. They want 4 days. Okay. So we'll get started. Okay. Juha and Onder.
Okay. Hello everyone. It's amazing to be here, the other side of the ocean actually, because now what we were thinking is, hey, the books and the videos come alive. I see so many icons here, so it's great. I'm a very young coach actually, compared to most of you. I'm only doing it for 14 years, but I was in a lucky position that it put me in the interesting positions. I became at the top of ETBF, the board of ETBF. I became the chairman of the educational committee. They gave me the responsibility of all European programs. And it was not easy actually for the Turkish guy and try to handle with the all European educational programs. But we come to a point that we are very happy. And one of the reasons that we are successful is making good communication with a good team. And Juha is one of the team. And so today we are here. We are very happy to share what we do in the other side of the ocean. And we hope you're interested in that too. So whatever you have any questions or whatever, we are happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, first of all, for me also, it's an understatement to say I'm privileged to speak here in front of all the coaching icons that are filling this room now. I spoke with my wife earlier today. She's also a professional coach. She's the director of the bowling training center in Finland. She's very typical, encouraging Finnish wife. She said, okay, good luck, don't screw up. Here I am now, trying not to screw up. Okay, but it's nice to be here.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Mine says, let me know what happened.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a clue. So. My friends, we are sure you're aware of the structure of our, bowling world, but, ETBF is representing the European zone. So when we talk about the European zone, we are today talking about 46 countries and federations under our umbrella. So officially, ETBF, European Champion Bowling Federation, is the governing body of the European zone. So when we need to make a program for those countries, we have some issues, of course. It's not easy to focus on one nation and decide a program, because you have your culture, you have your needs, you know your requirements. It's a little bit much easier than try to do it to 46 countries, because we have different levels of bowling, first of all. Some federations are celebrating their 10th year, some federations are celebrating their 100 years in Europe. Different cultures, Mediterranean culture versus Nordic culture. I don't know if you ever met them, but this is your meeting them right now. But it's not easy to have it. And plus, of course, the language barrier, everybody speaks another language. So, and English is never our, main language. So we technically speak Turkish and Finnish better than English, but we'll try to do our best today. So this solution came with the same way, actually. Because we were looking for a solution, then the solution came with the different levels. Because I was representing the developing countries and 10-year-old federations, and he was representing the 80-plus-year-old federation, a very high-skilled bowling country. We were speaking different languages and everything, but when we sit on the table, we found out that it's not a different language, actually. It's not different cultures that much. Well, we look at the bowling, it's not that different. Even from top to down, it was quite similar. So we end up in a unified, we try to end up in a unified sport education program, and as of today, we have it. But how it started was a little bit painful, because I was alone, they were not in the team yet. They told me that, hey, let's do an education program for Europe. Okay, just do it for 46 countries. We asked for help from federations, companies, and coaches first, because I don't know how to start that. We only get help from 2 groups. One of them was the British Federation, ETBF, and USBC. Thanks to them, they sent us that information that you can use. Companies, only Kegel and Ebonite supported us in the beginning. Coaches, none of them. That was the first question. How much are you going to pay us? Technically, I was asking for help. We're not going to be paid. We were doing it for good, but the only question was that bounced in our face was, how much are you going to pay? Okay, I would like to pay maybe some money to you, but what are you going to give to me? What do you offer? That was not on the table, and some coaches only asked for some money. So we didn't start with them. So with that combination, we started a base program, and we ran it for 2 years actually, and it was not bad. But then, we faced with a lot of questions and issues. We have to restart again, and the reason we restarted is things were changing. We were going to seminars, people were talking about today's game, which is different. I remember Dell in 2006 talking in Bowl Expo about the changes of versus classic style versus modern style presentation. The generation is changing. They don't have long education periods. At that time, we were offering 12 weeks of education programs. We were starting with knee-down drills, making it hours and hours. People don't have time for it. We need a faster solution. It has to be much better structured, so it has to be visual, audio, and kinesthetic to have better communication with the coaches, plus with the students. So we have to find a solution. It has to be academically structured because we would like to have levels, because we have to follow the European Union standards. We need a 5 level of education. It has to be functional for the coaches, and the most important part for us is it should be encouraging for the coaches. So they should feel, hey, I can start doing, I want to do that at the end of the class. I remember when I take my first class in 2000, when the coaches left my country, I was looking at it and said, okay, I got a lot of information, but I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. I have a big book, I have a ton of information. There is no path to follow. There is no guidance how to run, how to start. Not from the scratch, not for the advanced. I have a lot of information, but there is no order that helped me. I'm not trained for it. So we think we have to find some way. It should be encouraging, coach-friendly, that the coach can use it very easily. And also it should be bowler-friendly, that whenever the coach shares something with the bowler, he could easily grab it. That was our definition of our problem in the beginning. It must be rich in media, by all means, exercises and everything, it must be fun. That was our definition. So then we were thinking to restarting, then we got an email from Finland. They asked us to visit their Kortare training center in Finland. We said, interesting. We go, and it was like a card game. We sit on the table, that was the table. This is how we look at timing. This is how we look at timing. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. We do it this way. We do it this way. And at the end of the day, let's have a beer. So this is how it ended. So, actually, it was a great program. Juha he wrote the Finnish material, level 1, 2, and 3. Finnish Federation was so helpful to share it as a base to our program. But we didn't accept it as a total because we tell them that we need a program that should teach it from scratch. It should fulfill the requirements of a developing country that have no bowling culture.
And also it wasn't fast.
Yes.
The Finnish level 1 is 9 days, level 2 is 12 days, and level 3 is 16 days. So it didn't fit the fast formula.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well.
So, Kortare Training Center, Triangle Bowling Academy, and Finnish Bowling Federation content, we sit down on the table, we were all active coaches, and we start to work on that. So we end up with a package. Before we release it to the market, we have to test it. So what we did, we do it in Kortare, Ankara, Istanbul in Turkey, and Czech Republic. We tested them in all of our academies. Some exercises, we got feedbacks from the bowlers, and we test them with all new bowlers. Mostly that we were focusing on how we teach bowling to the non-bowlers. That was our first idea. With these feedbacks, we also changed some exercises. We take some of them out, and we end up with a very few exercises actually. But as of today, we are very happy with the development. With the last changes, we trained 532 coaches in the last 3 years, and thinking of the Europeans, population, that's a very good number. Now, 16 countries are strictly following, one-to-one following our programs. We have a recognition program since the beginning. All the countries, they were sending us our programs. We were checking them with ETBF programs, and we were giving recognition to them. What means that your program is accepted. So it's like an academic recognition program. For example, Norway is one of them. Norway, Finland, the Nordic countries are in that list. We also have technical programs where we started kind of invade. Actually, we had to do it because we are the governing body, but we are too gentle, not like the other sports institutions. We cannot say, from now on, you have to follow this. You can't do that. You have to work with the countries in cooperation. Then they accept it. So we slowly go into the countries, and now we have other things like that. Besides these, we run other organizations to get people together. One of them is our iCoach conferences. We started in 2011, and thanks to USBC Group, they supported us a lot with those. They come in every year. So we also have like this organization. We do it in Europe for 2011, 2013. Next one will be 2015. We were talking with this organization how we make it every year. This United States kind of a switch. So it's a very good opportunity, because what we believe is if we don't share the information between us, if we still keep it as a secret as the old school method, some coaches never share their things like that, it's not working. We have to share, we have to input more scientific data into it, we have to make more research into that, we have to share it, then we can grow our sport to a better level. There's no way out. So all those coaches who is in that mindsetting, which like you, I believe, because you're here to share and learn and discuss, that we will carry this sport up in a higher state. Otherwise, it will stay as it is right now. This is how we approach the thing. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about our coaching programs. We have 3 levels, my friends. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Officially, European Union asks from every government they should have 5 levels. But this is very hard to fill with bowling information actually. We're not compared to basketball, football, the other sports. It's not easy to fill 5 levels, but we're working on it. We're trying to do that.
And also there's one standard in European Union is that the first 3 levels should be sport-specific education. And the level 4 and 5 are more like general coaching information. For example, in Finland we have level 4, which is 1.5 year education. It's called professional coaching degree. And then we have the level 5 is the Master of Sports Science, which is it takes, I think, minimum 7 years, and you graduate as a Master of Sports Science, but your major has to be coaching. So level 5 is quite long education already.
So we just updated our programs 2013 and 12 and 13, still updating. This summer all of our pedagogy part is changing, for example. So we are almost updated. Like, for example, topography issues were released, the lane mapping and other issues were released just by Kegel a couple of years ago. Now we just embedded, we got the information from that and embedded immediately into our programs like that. So everything we put them has a reference to whatever we get it. We don't act it is like our invention. So we try to be as updated as possible because our system allows us to do that. One of the things is our level 1 is a 4-day program. It's about 30 hours. Our level 2 is 4 days, 40 hours. When it comes to our level 3 program, it's a 6-day package and it's about 60 hours. So officially it's about 10 hours per day, not very easy. We would like to have longer, but we couldn't get coaches that long out from their jobs and etc. It would be more humanized, but this is a little bit tough to follow actually. But one important case here is all levels are prerequisite to each other. So if you want to go to level 2, you have to complete level 1. If you want to go to level 3, you have to complete level 3. And completion is not limited It's not limited with only getting into the program. Whenever you enter in any ETBF educational program, you only get one certificate. It is the certificate of participation. You are not officially certified. There is one way to do that. You have to practice about that. But the level structure is like that. Whatever you have in level 1, we increase it in level 2. For example, let's talk about swing. If we talk about swing in 1 hour in level 1, we increase it 1.5, 2 hours or something in level 2, and we almost talk about half a day or 1 day, one day in level 3. So as the program gets longer, we get more information about that, but there is no chance to jump into the level 3. It will be very difficult to follow what we're saying because it's all based on our layer system. So we call it layered education. So you got the level 1, you practice it, you have an idea, you have an experience, you come to level 2. With your experience now, you debate on that thing, you discuss the thing, you learn new stuff. With that experience, you carry that information to level 3. So in our level 3 is mostly based on discussions actually. Juha is giving a presentation, then it's open floor, everybody can discuss, but they need an experience to discuss, of course. They need students, we need videos of them, and this is how it works right now. And the key is, if you want to go a level 3 coach, you have to complete 150 hours of practice on the lanes. For going to level 3, you have to practice at least 200 hours. That should be signed and improved by your federation or your level 3 coach. So that we have a system like that. Is it the best system? Not. Does it help? Yes. Because at least when we come to level 2, which is our most focused group, because we assume if a bowler comes to level 2, now we got the guy, they want to continue. This is our guy who wants to continue coaching. We would like them to have students. We would like them to have bowlers to be trained. So then we can talk about the real data. They show us their videos, they explain us what they're doing, so we all talk about it. So they have problems, then we can discuss and help them. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. They just come to, we call them certification coaches. Certification, certification, certification. Did you coach? No, but I have all the certificates. Bravo. So the problem is, there are some coaches on the market, you kill yourself on the lanes, hours and hours, trying to be better coaches. You come here, you spend money and everything. At the end of the day, both of you have the same certificates. You're not the same coach. So we want to differentiate it. So this is why we give them the certificate of participation to the people, but certify them after at least some practice time. So this is our practice. That is the idea we love actually. We call them the bowler of the future. In our programs, we have a definition of a good shot, a good bowler. Does he or she exist? Not too much actually. We see let's say 80% of them in the bowlers. But this is our approach, my friends. If you think about the other sports in the past, like you guys know Mark Spitz probably, or Sergei Bubka. If all of us look what they did, we analyze their videos and teach everybody like what they do, we would stay in their speed or their height right now. But now today, the swimmers swim faster, the people jump higher.
No, they don't. They don't jump higher.
They broke the record. Bubka's record.
Okay, indoors, yeah.
So, at least they run and swim faster.
They run and swim faster.
So, we like that idea, my friends. So, okay, let's analyze the top bowlers of our time. So, how can we create better bowlers for the future? What's the secret? So, it is not necessarily if we analyze today's bowler, we have to understand what makes them successful, but we also understand what additions we can make to those training programs that we can carry them forward. Then we decided to look some other specifications, like the bowlers who practice all week long and compete every tournament they like the Asian bowlers, like Koreans and other things, those bowlers, they practice 4 or 5 days a week, they go to the gym, they compete every tournament they found, and they look healthy and good. So what makes them like that? Or we go to every championship and we look at the bowlers who jump very quickly to a better level. Hey, 2 years ago, he wasn't having a good timing. Look, he's playing the Masters now. What changed in this bowler? So we shot the videos. So We try to go every ETBF championship, European Bowling Tour stops, and WTBA championships, and we are shooting videos continuously, and we are making research on them. We compete bowlers with the modern techniques. We compete the people in the Masters every year. What had changed in those bowlers? What make them? We talk with their coaches. So we try to make a definition of what makes them good, how they became that quickly that good, what make them, and how can they repeat that success. So we try to find out the solution.
Personally, I think the key thing here is not only copy today's bowlers. I travel all around Europe. I coach about 500, approximately 500 bowlers per year, and I see at least 10 kids every single year who look 100% like Mike Fagan. Mike Fagan's style. They don't have Mike Fagan's technique, but they will be watching YouTube day after day after day. They have copied Mike Fagan's style. Do they have the same body structure as Mike Fagan? No. Do they have the same physical abilities as Mike Fagan? No, absolutely not. But they want to look just like Mike Fagan. Well, it works for Mike Fagan pretty well. Not for these kids.
This is a big problem of YouTube issue. We're facing it a lot. Like Dell's, you know, YouTube is dangerous. You have to follow the Turkish government. Close the YouTube is good.
Not only YouTube.
Another good idea is when we're working on this future of bowlers, of course, these gentlemen is what they live in an Olympic training center, so that makes a difference, of course. They have a lot of Olympic sports coaches, seminars, and everything. So we try to get as much as input from their group, because their coaches are also bowling in the bowling center, and they communicate continuously. So we make some changes. They don't. We make some changes accordingly. My friends, we have a group of exercises. In level 1 and level 2, we almost have 8 simple exercises. We use the same exercises for teaching bowling. We use the same exercises for advanced bowlers as well. The only thing we change is the way we focus on the exercise. So in our programs, if a bowler learns one of those exercises, they can repeat it all their lives. They're simple exercises, not different from what you did before. Some of them looks like our, every other program's exercises. There is only one idea, a little bit different, is we try to do all exercises in the real time. So for example, if you're going to make a 1-step exercise, we would like them to walk 5 steps and stop on the 4th step. They have to tell us, what is their position now? Where is the ball? What is your body angle? What you do? And we try to do every exercise in real-time simulation position. That's what we are after. So we're not practicing like this and try to do it like this in the game. We force them to do that actually. When we go to level 2, we a little bit supported with more release exercises and side exercises or problem-solving exercises. If they have problems with starting the game or they have left arm issues, we have extra side exercises for them. Level 3, we don't focus on too much about teaching. We are on the lanes about lane, ball motion, ball reaction, other things like that. So, and coaching, yeah. If you enter any of the ETBF programs, if you want to finish that program, if you're in level 1, you have to present one topic in level 1. You have to get in front of the coaches, you have to present one of the issues, so everybody analyzes you and they talk about how you present it. So before you finish the class, you started to do coaching. If you come to level 2, at the end of level 2, we have something called professional practice, which is 1 hour practice with one person. So we have buddies, 2 people, 2 people, 2 people. Everybody is like, you got a phone call last night, some people will come to take a class from you yesterday and you have 1 hour. That's the problem. So you introduce yourself, start from you introducing yourself, ask them what they want. They start to make a 1 hour class, they should use videos and everything. And the requirement is they have to make one change in their game. We have to see it in their videos before and after. Not permanently, of course, but that change that can motivate that bowler or your student for the future practices. And at the end of the 1 hour classes, we come together, every coach puts the video on the screen, tell them about their stories. The student tells about what they experienced, and all the classes debates about that. We discuss, I would do it this way, I would do it that way, I would approach it that way, like that. So it's you heard the multiple voices, you heard it much in a greater area. Everybody has their ideas. As our levels get higher, we have more instructors. For example, if you got the level 1, you get it from me or you or one of our coaches. If you get the level 2, we usually try to do it with 2 or 3 coaches. If you go to level 3, we got at least 5 instructors. Everybody is expert on their fields. If you talk about bowls, for example, the first year was with Rich Hansen from Ebonite. Last year was Dal was there introducing our bowling balls. If you talk about, let's say, presentation techniques, it's my profession. That's what I was teaching in the university, the visual graphics, arts, and etc. So this is how it goes. For the fitness part, we ask the people from the cohort and they can help us. Second of all, that's our most European part. we have to be digitally green, so we don't print out anymore. We have very, very few prints. So all of our material is in PowerPoints. That is not, of course, only for being green, it's also for the coaches to make the life easy for them. They can get the PowerPoint, translate it easily, get it into pieces, use them in their classes. We don't have a version of instructor version, student version, everything is one package. So in our pages, they can easily, if they need printed and give it to their students, like spare systems or something like that, they can use it as it is. But we try to be functional and easy to update, of course.
This is the part I hate the most.
Update?
Yeah, the green part, because Finland is the biggest producer of paper in the world.
So, one of the changes we made in our teachings, my friends, is the way we teach it. For many years, almost every education program in Europe, and I think in the world, of course, we were teaching it from full line to the back. So it was called as gnilvop in Europe, actually, and like the opposite way of bowling. It was very popular, it was revolutionary, and we all teach it for many years like that. Then because of the coaches in Kortane, they changed it from beginning to the end. Now that was a big change in our training because they learn it faster. I don't know the reason for that, but they immediately learn it faster. Instead of teaching it, full line, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, we just start from here and go to the full line. Okay, for example, if you have a 1-step drill, we still have the 1-step drill. But the way we do it is different. We start from the stance, come to the 4-step, stop and do the drill. So every time we want the bowlers to feel the process, they feel the flow of their motions. So every time we ask them to process everything in their brains, we continue to make a one-to-one communication. Where is your foot now? Where is your body position? Where is your arm? Where is your hand? Those questions are letting them do the exercises with their brains, not like, 100 hours of swinging their hands. They process in the brains, which is actually, we try to generate the muscle memory with them.
This actually came, okay, in Finland we have been using this, what we call chronological order, already for over 20 years. I think it was 1993, 1994, where we actually already started to use only this way. If I spoke in Kortane, we have 24 different sports, which we actually have 24 coaches from national team coaches from 24 different sports working in the Olympic Training Center. We have coaches meeting among all the coaches quite often, and any other sport don't use this backward system. Every other sport also uses the way that they teach from start to finish. Imagine you go into a golf lesson. The pro tells you, okay, now let's put the ball close to the hole, and now let's putt away from the hole first. Then take a club, chip it a bit further. Okay, now let's take your 7-iron. Now 7-iron. Okay, now it's time for a driver. And now the last club you use is the driver, and you try to hit the ball back to the tee.
My friend, all of our logic is based on one concept. We have one concept that is our, what we call holistic thing. We all have tattoos about that, okay? So That is what we call ETT, everything towards the target. We die for it, we kill for it. Okay? We're so serious about it. So, what is ETT? Is actually, it's shaped with three main movements. Walk to the target, swing to the target, release to the target. And do whatever is required for that. Most of our coaching classes are we try to prevent them to block doing those things. They put their foot over their swing so they couldn't swing it. They last minute, their ball is here, their body is here, they have no place to release it to the target. So most of the time we are trying to get rid of these blocks out of the way. Let them have a free swing to the target. And how can we manage to do that? Remember the future of bowling thing.
I have two good friends, unfortunately both of them are not here anymore. I try to follow their guidelines. The friends are called Mr. Newton and Mr. Einstein. And they would be pretty damn good bowling coaches actually. And whatever we do, we try not to fight against their principles. There are a few things. The gravity, Mr. Newton, okay, he wasn't the sharpest pencil in the box because he needed to have an apple on his head before he figured it out. Then again, Mr. Newton was a pretty smart guy. He told me one thing about what we all speak about the swing is, he told me once, sent me an email that he figured out that changing direction of a moving object requires energy. That was good, okay, I was thinking, put it straight back to bowling, okay, what is the only source of energy? We can actually have to change the direction of the moving object. Well, that's muscles. Okay, maybe we should swing the ball straight then, not to make it go all over the place. But we'll get back to that later.
Yep. So everything towards the target, when we talk about the target is our line, the intended line of swing. So this is the line. Wherever the line is, we walk to the target. It's inside line, we walk to the target. So it's not, we don't mean go straight to the foul line, we just walk to the target, however we can do that. Alright? So, for the ETT principle, we approach the teaching of bowling plus the analysis system. This is our analysis system also. We focus on swing, timing, steps and body angles in a shot. How can we get these things together to allow us to do this ETT concept, to follow the ETT concept? So the first idea is how we teach it. This is another something that we are not very similar to other programs. We never start with the, with walking or something like that. Our teaching programs start with the swing. We teach everybody swing first. How to swing the ball, to understand the correct swing feeling, which I will coming very soon. So when people understand how to make the swing, that also follow them to understand the body angles and everything that is required for making the swing. Then we start to teaching them timing and steps that supports that procedure. That is one of the things that seriously speed up the process. Because if they walk in a bad way, it is so hard for them to teach with a bad structure how to make a correct swing. But first, if you teach them how to make the correct swing, it's so easy to convince them to support it with the right walking path and an easier timing. Because now this is what they want to do, swinging the ball. And if you tell them, hey, if you put your step here, you cannot do that. Or if you are one step late timing, you will block your swing. Oh yeah, I got the idea, so I'm not trying. So convincing the mind is our key for a faster speed training. This is how we do that. We try to convince them continuously for the reason for that. So after the swing, we go timing, we go steps, we go body angles, we explain them what's going on over there. We use our exercises to teach them better. But before the swing, I'm talking about a new beginner bowler right now. Without the swing, we don't start anything. So that's our flow of the thing. When we talk about swing, we literally follow what swing is.
Mr. Newton.
My friends, in a regular swing, the swinging object reaches the fastest speed at the bottom of the swing, then slows down and accelerates again, fastest and slow down again. So we are looking after that swing because that swing is done by the gravity. Of course, we have our arms, we have our muscles and everything. We try to make it as free as possible. We try to make it as effortless as possible. We are not going to say super free swing. We know that we have muscles and bones, but we see the samples. People can do that. For example, this shot for us is not a comfortable swing. We see a lot of muscle in here. We see uncomfortable. When you look at here, we see a much easier swing motion with less effort, and we see a more potential of power in that game compared to that. And that change, my friend, done in half an hour. She practiced half an hour. This is the next day video when she came. So the body accepts this much easily because it's a more natural movement, which Juha will talk about it later. Or, remember we talk about the ones who repeat that all day long, all night long. These are World Youth Championship, Korean and Singapore bowlers. You can see how wonderful their swings are. How they make it look easy, that's what we're after actually. We are looking for a shot that looks easy. So this is one of the things we are so swing oriented actually, and we are much like the Asian approach with that because they're holistic about swing exercises. They're so much swinging. The another idea about swing is, most of the time when we look at the swing, we all focus on this area. We are continuously trying to do it with two arms. For us, swing is a two-arm issue. We need two arms for a good swing. If you don't have this arm, that swing has issues. Why? Because if the left arm is at the back at the same time, and if you're not from the Asian zone, which they have enormous flexibility, that means you have tension on your back. All muscles are tense. That creates elastic tension that allows you to get it back immediately. When you got the tension, it wants to come back. So you cannot have the correct swing motion if your two arms are at the back, besides you have sore muscles all day long. This is one of the things. Most of the people. Tension-free is not only related, of course, with what does back muscles. Tension-free is also related with what we approach for the spine. If this is my spine, we like to do its natural movement. The most natural movement of our spine is that, not this. This is not a natural movement for our spine. That puts excess stress on our spine. This wants to go back immediately. So any coaching methodology that offers us to make our spine like that, we fight against that. Maybe you know what we're talking about.
Wow. You don't need to do anything more than Google lumbar spine tilt injury.
So my friend, this is our idea. This is our spine, okay? So during our game, what we try is to, even we have a bending motion, if you have a body angle, we try to do it aligned with our hips, so that keeps our spine straight.
So the hips and shoulders are all the time perpendicular to the spine.
So we are trying to protect this for the youth, for the adult, especially for the adult. How many people have back issues? I'm sure this class has know about that. This is the reason I quit bowling. I couldn't bowl because of my back issues. So we are holistically trying to save this spine. Whatever I do, I try to do it naturally. So if I need a body angle, if I have my body angle, I just lean forward. I keep my spine like that. If I rotate my spine like that, which is actually this, if my hip goes forward and if I pull it back, this is what it is, it wants to come back immediately and it creates problems. And my friends, you have one chance to injure yourself with the spines. If you have any spine problems, if you injure it once, you're gone. It's done. So, tension-free for the swing, muscles, and the spine. We try to keep it straight, comfortable, with no problems. This is why, in most of the issues, whenever we make our exercises, they feel more comfortable. And we don't like a very high swing also, we're not in the favor, because we don't want excess usage of joints, because they can end up with injuries again. When we come to body angles, there is one motto we call the third step. Third step is the third step of 5-step approach, where we get our body angle, because according to our research, we find that most of the bowlers, the angle they got in their third step is almost same on their final position. maybe, you know, maximum 3, 5, 8 degrees difference, and most of them are almost the same. So fins, they call it fin release position actually. So in the third step, if we got our position good, everything else usually is good. So 1 to 3, get the release position, lower it down, slide it to the forward.
Maintain the spine angle all the way to the release.
We make a research about steps, and according to that research, we find out it's about 150 bowlers of top EBT players, American players, PBA players, Asian ranking players, South American players. We found out that 81% is using 5-step approach, 13% is more than 5-step, and only 6% is using top bowlers are around 4-step approach. So we take out the 4-step approach, we don't teach it anymore. Because now if everybody is using 5-step approach, why our education programs is 4-step approach? We don't do it anymore. We're on 5-step now. This is what we're doing. Plus, what we're teaching is, if you start with the 4-step approach, you have more issues because 5-step makes it much easier to get the timing in the correct position and body in the correct position. So we follow a 5-step approach with 3-channel concept. 3-channel is very simple. This is our target line. This is where the ball in the stance. This is where the ball in the fall line. So we stand for this ball. This channel, right channel, is reserved for the bowling swing and bowling ball. Nothing must be in that channel. So this is the secure area, military zone. So that the only bowling ball, shoulder and head is allowed here. So this is how we approach that, because you have to swing over that area. So middle zone is where you can put your steps, because if I want to put my ball in the same position, I have to slide to the same position. So our aim is, in the beginning, we try to start position and finishing position same. Then we allow the bowlers find their own drifts or natural movements, but this is as a starting effort. Of course, they usually don't finish where they started, but it's normal. So after our first step, we immediately leave the red zone. We go into the inside center zone. We only skip to the right channel here. Why? Because if we still put our step on the green channel now, our body rotates too much, our hips open too much, so we'll get the ball back. So instead we go to the left channel. That allows us, our hips and shoulders are in the parallel position, and we can keep that swing position easily. Then we step on the turn, which can differ from bowler to bowler, and slide in the front. That's our 4-step approach. I'm passing fast, sorry, because I have to give it to Juha.
Yeah. All 5-step.
Yeah, 5-step approach. Timing, my friends, is for us what takes everything together. And in our programs, we had most problems related to timing. Most issues we face and solve in our academies is related about timing, and Juha is going to tell you about that. Thank you.
This is the way we look at the timing in ETBF. We have 3 different timing points, and we have 3 different checkpoints. The timing points are the key. So we are looking at the timing of the backswing, timing of the downswing, and timing of the release. So basically what we are looking is when the ball is at the bottom of the swing, what is the relation of the feet at that point? When the ball is at the top of the swing, what is the relation of the feet at that point? And we're using quite much the same system as you are using for timing of the release. There's nothing big there. First, before we can go to timing, we have to understand a few things about what is a normal function of a human body. What we are doing is, instead of looking at top bowlers, we are trying to figure out what is a natural way for a human body to function. Because our programs are meant for beginner bowlers, intermediate bowlers, advanced bowlers. We cannot teach what the best of the best, the most talented bowlers in the world are doing. Okay? We have to understand why they are doing it, because there must be something why they are doing it in a certain way. But then again, we have to figure out how to teach normal people the same stuff. So we have to understand what is a natural functioning of the human body. So we know a few facts for the body to work correctly. Certain joints have to be mobile, certain joints have to be stable. So starting from the bottom, we know the fact that the feet have to be stable. We know biomechanically produce the power you have to have as support. If you're still moving, you don't have a steady support, you cannot produce the power the same way. We know the fact that the ankle need to be mobile. Also, the knees should be stable. Hips should be mobile. Lumbar spine should be stable. Not this. This is not very good. It's not natural motion for human body. The thoracic spine, the middle of the spine, that should be stable. So we're able to do this motion. It's the thoracic spine that is mobile there. We know that the scapula and the cervical spine have to be stable. Okay, when we go to forward, we know the fact that the shoulder needs to be mobile. Elbow needs to be stable, wrist needs to be mobile. If we think classic style, I'm sorry, but in classic style, the joints are working on an opposite way. In classic style, okay, usually, very often, bowlers are still sliding. They are creating a huge knee bend, but trying to keep the ankle stable. Hips should point straight forward all the time. Don't move your shoulder. Just swing the ball with your hand. Keep your shoulders and your hips parallel to the line you're playing. Okay. If we think about swing, that is something that has changed a lot, because nowadays we need so much more speed on a bowling ball than we did 50, 60 years ago. When they were still playing rubber balls, they didn't probably, I didn't live at that time, but I didn't see that. But I guess that they didn't need that much speed as we do now. So, few things we have to understand that in modern bowling technique, we're doing a bit different. If we look at classic style, you see the ball is swinged with the hand. So the ball is swinging on the side of your body. If you look at modern bowling, the ball is actually swinging in front of your body. The ball is swinging this way. So that at any point you are not bringing your hand behind your shoulder, you're only keeping it in line with your shoulders. So the question is, which one looks more relaxed to the shoulder? This motion or this motion? Is my shoulders now relaxed? Yeah. Are they now relaxed? No. The other thing is that which muscles are used to create the swing. If we swing with inside of the body, we're using the small muscles on the shoulder, scapula, and the bowling arm. When we swing the ball this way, now we're using big muscles. Now I'm not using the muscles of my hand, my shoulders, I'm using the big muscle groups. So what are the big muscle groups? The gluteus, your butt, your thighs, your back, and your abs. So actually I'm mobilizing these muscles to do the same motion. Now the question is, which are the 4 biggest muscle groups in your body? Happen to be these 4. So now you're creating a swing with the 4 biggest muscle groups in your body, or small muscles in your body. Which one is more economical? Quite obvious that if we use big muscle groups instead of small muscle groups, it's much more economical. Guess why the Koreans are practicing 6 hours every day? Because they are using the big muscle groups. They don't get tired. That's quite simple. And also because their coaches tell them to do that. It's pretty darn good. If you want medals, that's the way to go. Okay. Next thing we have to figure out is that in any sport where you hit or throw an object, all the power in any sport is created with the body rotation. Imagine, we have Norwegians, the best javelin nation in the world now, and we have Finland, the best javelin nation in the history. Imagine javelin. They are throwing like this. So the body is rotating when they are throwing the javelin. Imagine Andreas Torkildsen throwing the javelin like this. Okay, let's think about golf. Tiger Woods making a try. Actually, my club went far further than the ball on that one. That's how he do. He create body rotation to create the power. Imagine Tiger Woods making a drive like this. Not going to happen. That's not 300 yards. Because there's no body rotation. Okay, in some sports where they need to create the maximum acceleration, the maximum club head speed and so on, they also create elastic tension. Elastic tension means that certain parts of the body are moving different direction or earlier than the other parts of the body. For example, in javelin, when they are going to the javelin throw, I got too excited now. We can see that the hips and the shoulders are pointing the same direction. When they start to throw the javelin, we see that they start to close the hips first, because now they are creating elastic tension, which creates more acceleration. Same in golf. From the downswing, the hips start to move first to increase the club head speed. The problem is that in bowling, the downswing takes more than 200 milliseconds. Elastic tension can produce power only for 200 milliseconds. After 200 milliseconds, the elastic tension, the power it can create, just turns into heat. It doesn't give you acceleration anymore. So if we try to create elastic tension at the top of the swing, I'm sorry, by the time we get to the release, we only have heat left. We don't have acceleration and power anymore. Okay, we have different sports. Okay, one more thing. What means repeatability? In any sport where you're making a chain of motion, where you need to repeat those motions correctly time after time, very simple rule. The less muscle power you have to use, the more easy it is to repeat. So the smaller amount of, it's a very nice sentence, the smaller amount of maximum power of each muscles are used, the easier it is to repeat the motion. So it means also the fact that the bigger the muscles you use, the smaller amount of maximum power of those muscles you need to use to make the same motion over and over again. The smaller the muscles you're using, the bigger amount of maximum power of those muscles you're using, the more difficult it is to repeat the motion correctly. Okay, now let's see how other sports do it, because we have different sports. We have to remember one thing, that power and accuracy, they are opposite forces. The more power we need to produce, usually the less accuracy we can produce at the same time. So we have sports where we need maximum power, but not so much accuracy. Then again, we have sports where you need medium power, you need to produce certain amount of power and certain amount of accuracy also. Then we have sports where you need maximum accuracy, but you don't need to produce that much power. So let's see. Okay, first, obviously, javelin. To be able to throw the javelin 90 meters, you have to give all you got. And at the moment, for the Finnish javelin throwers, that's not enough. So we see here, the more power you need to create, the more body rotation you need to create.
You go left. You.
And foul. Okay, let's look at another one. Obviously, golf, you need to create a lot of top head speed. So let's see what happens. Backswing starts, body rotation. Also, when the downswing starts, hips start to move first, so they can create elastic tension to create more club head speed. And that wasn't even a full shot. Okay, another one. Ice hockey. By the way, thanks for the bronze medal. Same thing. Lot of body rotation. Okay, ice hockey is a bit different. Why? We cannot have a steady support. Very nice. Imagine those guys throwing the javelin. Imagine them throwing it on ice. Not 90 meters. No way. Because you don't have the steady support. Okay. One more: maximum power, minimum accuracy. Oscar spare shot. Okay, then we have sports where we have medium power, but still and medium accuracy. We still need to produce certain amount of power, but much more accuracy. So now we see that now the motion is much more synchronized. So the hips and the shoulders are moving much more synchronized. Let's see this one. Okay. Now back swing. Right above now starts the hip also follow the swing. You can see much better synchronized. You can see that the hips are not moving first. The hips are moving same speed as the shoulders. Okay. Ice hockey is that snapshot. We can see that now when they make a slam shot, they need to have both feet on the ice. Otherwise they cannot produce the power. Now they don't need, on this one, they don't need to create so much power. They need more accuracy on this one. We see that there's only one support actually now on the ice. You can see that that's left-hander. We can see that the right foot is in the air, this one. We have a bowling shot. In today's bowling, we need to create certain amount of power. But accuracy at the same time. It doesn't. If you cannot keep the ball on the lane, it doesn't matter how much power you can produce. So we need a smooth execution with as little muscle power as possible, by using as big muscles as possible to do the same job. Okay, then we have sports where you need maximum accuracy. Now we actually see that there's absolutely no body rotation at all. A minimum amount of joints moving. That brings maximum accuracy. But how much power do you need actually to throw the dart? Not that much.
More beer.
More beer, yeah. Okay, another one, snooker or billiards. Only very few choices. Moving and very stable position. Don't need a lot of power, but you need a lot of accuracy. Golf, putting. That's a different story. Now we don't see hip rotation at all anymore. We don't see any body rotation. Now it's only hands that are moving here. And you get 220 million for 10 years just to wear a badge. That's that should be bowling, not bowling. Okay, the question is how much power is needed in bowling? In the bowling shot. Do we need maximum power without accuracy? I don't think so.
Depends on your age.
It depends on your age, of course, yeah. And it depends on if you want to please the crowd by wow, shooting 40 miles an hour. The spare shot and missing this much. We've had this discussion with that guy. Okay? Do we need maximum accuracy with the power? No, we don't. Because in today's bowling, we're not playing rubber balls anymore, for God's sake. We need some amount of power. Unfortunately, year by year, it looks that we need even more power. And I'm sure, as a bowling coach, like to see that going away, because we are now very close in a situation that we need so much power that we are starting to injure bowlers. They all of a sudden, pretty soon they require so much power that they will start to hurt themselves. We already see a lot of PBA guys, for example, nowadays suffering from shoulder syndrome. We see a lot of that. We see more and more back problems from bowlers. because they need to produce so much more power to the ball, so much more speed to the ball. The question is, do we need repeatability? Hell yeah, we need repeatability a lot. Okay, what was repeatability? It was the less muscles you use, the bigger muscles you use, the easier it is to repeat. So we need to also change the way we execute the ball shot to make it more economic and still produce the same amount of power that is required today. Do we need to create a certain amount of speed and revolutions without sacrificing too much accuracy and repeatability? That's the compromise we are looking at the moment. Okay, back to the timing points. Now, still have about half an hour. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. So now let's start to speak one by one about what we have figured out. So we are looking at the timing points. Timing point 1 is what we call the timing of the backswing. Timing point 2 is the timing of the downswing, and timing point 3 is the timing of the release. What we actually have found out that by far, by a mile, the most important timing point is actually the first timing point. That determines how you're able to swing the ball. That determines how you're able to take your steps. That determines what body angles you're able to create. So, thing that we are in our training centers working by far the most is the first timing point. What we have found out actually that the timing of the release is probably the least important of those, because there's so many variables there. And very often the first two timing points, and especially the first timing points, actually determines what is the timing of the release. We'll get back to that later. Okay, so what we are looking is, usually in ETBF in level 3 we're actually looking even quarters. But I cut those away now because I knew that we don't have enough time to go through all of them. So now we speak only about half step early timing, what we call optimal timing, or is it optimum, I don't know. We look at half step late timing and 1 step late timing, which is by far the most common timing that we see. From the top of my head, I would say that if we take all the bowlers in the world, I would say about 90% of them have 1 step late timing. Then again, if we take top 10,000 bowlers in the world, we actually will find out that 90% of them have somewhere from optimal half step early to maximum half step late timing. But there has to be correlation why those bowlers with closer correct timing happen to be the top 10,000 bowlers in the world. And only about 10 of them, 10% in the top 10,000 actually have 1 step late timing. Okay, what causes 1 step late timing? Two things. The way bowlers are pitched, that's number one thing. Number two thing is that that's actually how we walk naturally, because when we walk, we see that the right hand is coming across the right knee at the bottom of the swing. But that is only a natural way for a human body to walk when we're not carrying and swinging large and heavy object on one hand. The moment we start to carry large and heavy object on one hand, that becomes very unnatural way for a human body to function. If we, for example, if we take, give me a bat. Is it heavy?
I don't know.
What we found out that bowlers who practice a lot without a coach, after a while they will automatically naturally go to this timing. Why? If I'm swinging here and my right knee comes across the ball, this is very unnatural. It's very difficult. If I need to, okay, this is not heavy enough. If I need to move fast with this, I actually make my right hand and my right foot work at the same time. Now I can get forward much faster. This is not a good example. I'm using usually a 3-ball roller with 3 balls. And anyone who's swinging the back against the knee at the bottom, they are suffering. Those who are going this way are actually going much faster. So what we found out that those bowlers who play a lot without somebody telling them how they should do the timing, they quite often naturally start to make the timing this way. So what we look here is when the ball is at the bottom of the swing during the backswing. What is the relation of the feet here? On half step early, when the ball is at the bottom of the swing, we can see that the left foot is still behind the right foot, and the toes are still on the floor, so we say it's about half step late. On optimal timing, what we want to see is when the ball is at the bottom of the swing, the feet are side by side and the player is taking their third step. Here what we see is that the ball is at the bottom of the swing, the third step, the heel of the third step is already on the floor, so this is what we call half step late timing. And then when the player is already taking fourth step and the right knee comes across the ball at the bottom of the swing, so the ball is going backward and right foot is going forward, that's what we call one step late timing. So we'll look all these timings a bit more carefully. Okay, timing point 2. That's measured when the ball is at the bottom of the top of the swing. So what we are looking is when the angle of the bowling arm and the flank, the side of the body, is starting to close down. Very often we see that it's not the highest part of the swing, because very often already here the bowlers are starting to come down a bit. So together the ball is already coming down, the ball is on a downward motion, but this angle hasn't started to close yet. So what we are looking is when this angle is starting to close, that's why we determine the start of the downswing. What we would like to see is both feet again side by side when the player is taking the last step. What we look in the timing point 2 is it shows us if the swing motion is correct, if it's made with gravity, or is the bowler pulling the ball down from the top of the swing. Timing point 3, timing of the release. We'll look at it a bit the same way as you. Well, basically the same way. We don't have very precise things there because we see that it's something that it changes bowler by bowler. Some bowlers can actually create perfect releases with the foot still sliding. Some bowlers can create perfect releases when the foot has stopped. As a rule of thumb though, for beginners and intermediate bowlers, we actually like to see that the foot stops before the release. So what we look is when the slide stops, the ball is about half a foot to 1.5 foot behind the ankle of the sliding foot. For advanced bowlers, what we have found out that depending on how they play the game, how they play the ball, actually the timing of the release changes quite much. And it usually changes automatically, without even trying to think about it. What we see is if we take an elite bowler, put the bowler play a straight line from the outside with more speed and less revolutions, we actually see that very often they are still sliding when they release the ball. Then again, when you put the same bowler playing deep inside, creating as much revs as possible, we actually see that sometimes the ball is even somewhere around here when the slide stops. So their timing of the release changes automatically, and they are not even thinking about it. But as a baseline, we want to see the foot to stop before we release the ball. But then again, if the foot slides, for most of the bowler, that's a good way of creating less revolutions. Just make sure your foot is sliding, you cannot produce the same amount of power to the ball. Your revolutions will go down. That's a good thing sometimes. It's not working. This time. Okay.
That's a late idea.
Okay, the checkpoints. For the timing point 1, we have 2 different checkpoints. First thing we look is when the swing starts. When does the bowler start the swing? What we like to see is when the toes of the first step is touching the approach, so we have a steady support. That's the good moment to put the ball in motion. So we like to start the swing at the end of the first step. But okay, we also have to remember that we teach to start the swing different. We actually ask them to start the swing slightly upward motion. And no, they're not doing that with their right hand. They are doing that with their non-bowling arm. So they can still keep the bowling arm relaxed. The other checkpoint that we have is when the heel of the second step is touching the approach, the ball should already be on a downward motion in a swing. The ball shouldn't be going upward anymore. The ball should be on a downward motion. Checkpoint 3, that's the checkpoint of the timing point 2. What we look is when the fourth step is on the approach, that's the moment when the ball should be at the top of the swing, at the highest part of the swing, actually. That's what we try to look there. Okay, now you have a sort of like an idea of the timing concept that we are using. Now let's see what we have found out, how those different timings, half step early, half step late, 1 step late, how those timings affect the rest of the technique. Okay, we have to remember that bowling, this is a sport of exceptions. No matter what we do, there's always exception. Whatever we say, anyone can point out some good bowler who is doing differently. What we are looking here is how is the majority of the people doing these things, and what is the easiest way for a human body to make these motions. So whatever we say, somebody can always come up with someone who doesn't do it that way. Usually because they are so talented. The more talented you are, the more you can get away with mistakes you do on the way. But then again, if you look at the ones, for example, who or somebody can actually compensate with power. With sheer muscle power, you can compensate things and get things done. But then again, if you look at those who don't have the muscle power, they actually have to do it much more precisely, because they cannot compensate with muscle power anymore. Look at those Asian ladies. I'm sure they are not the strongest ones. They weigh like, I don't know, 40 kilos, 50 kilos. They have to use gravity. They cannot use the muscles of their arm to swing the ball. Okay, let's go forward. So, 1 step early. What it means that when the ball is at the bottom of the swing, the second step hasn't fully started. We can see that the right foot is still on the floor. The toes of the right foot is still touching the floor when the ball comes to the bottom of the swing. Basically, by starting the swing too early and dropping it straight down. Okay, what it affects, I have the luxury of whatever I do, I actually always survive to the foul line. I always get to stop at the foul line no matter what I do. It's probably survival instinct or something. Okay, how half step early timing affects the other parts of bowling technique. Usually what happens is when the timing is half step early, usually we see the backswing being quite vertical. Instead of going more in a round motion, it very often goes very vertically from the bottom of the swing to the top of the swing. Usually what happens is the second step is very long to be able to catch up and get to the foul line before the ball, but also third step is usually quite short. But then again, the third step is usually still quite fast. And often we see that with one step early timing, the fourth step is still short, whereas we look at the late timings, we can see the fourth step is long. Timing point 2, most likely it's going to be early, so the ball is, the feet, when the downswing starts, the feet are not yet side by side on the last step. We see that the right foot is very often still behind the left foot is still behind the right foot. Very often one step, half step early timing creates too much body tilt. So what we usually see is the tilt going only forward. So this is very typical body position for an early timing. Usually the release point is too late. They are not able to release the ball by their ankle. They're releasing quite far in front of the ankle. Follow through usually has no effect on that. Personally, about follow through, that's not something we look too much. First of all, the ball is already out of your hand. If your hand is not touching the ball anymore, does the follow through have an effect on ball reaction? You cannot affect the ball reaction anymore once the ball is out of your hand. Basically, after the ball is out of your hand, you can do a backflip for all I care. It doesn't change the ball reaction anymore. Okay, half step late. So now what we see is now the third step is already, the heel of the third step is already on the approach the moment the ball reaches the bottom of the swing. Can you use Kinovia for this? Let's stop these videos one by one. So let's go back to the one step early. No, let's just go half step late.
Just talk about momentum again. It takes shoulder and what mistakes there.
Yeah. So now let's look.
Just trying one.
Go optimal first. So now let's see in slow motion what happens there. Slow motion. Go back. Go frame by frame. Okay, now what we see here. Stop. Okay, now we saw when those here were touching the approach, that was the moment the ball was put into motion. Checkpoint, stop. Ball is already on a downward motion when the heel of the second is touching the floor. Okay, go ahead, and now the ball comes to the bottom of the swing. Here we see that both feet are side by side, and this handsome guy is taking his first step. Okay, now let's go to half step early. Yeah, okay, let's go there. Okay, let's check the other one. No. Back. Go check point 3. So here now the fourth step is on the floor. The ball is at the highest part of the swing. Okay, I have quite short fourth step. Yes. So for me it's boom. Everything happens simultaneously there. Now let's go half step early. So now we see the swing starts already before the toes are touching the floor and the ball is going straight downwards. So now when the ball is coming to the bottom of the swing, here we can see that the third step is just about to start. We see that the toes are still on the floor, so the feet are not side by side here. The left foot is quite much behind it. So that's what we say is half step early. Now let's go half step late. So what happens here? Swing starts, stop. Swing starts when the second step is halfway. So when the right foot is right next to the left foot, that's the moment when the swing starts. So basically, according to our methods, the swing starts half step too late. So now, go big backward. Go when the feet are side by side. So at this point, the ball should already be at the bottom of the swing. but it's still in front of the body. So now go forward. Now the ball is at the bottom of the swing. We can see that the left heel is already touching the floor. So this is what we call half-step left timing. Except for two-handers, this is perfect timing. There's a big difference with two-handers. Okay, and now put back the presentation. Now we can, okay, this is, leave it here. Let's go, let's see the video first. So now let's look what one-step late timing means. Okay, four-step, that's usually the beginning of one-step late timing. So now the ball is, go backwards, backwards, take with the feet are side by side. Stop. Now the ball should already be at the bottom of the swing to get the optimal timing, but now the ball is right in front of you. So that's obvious at this point that the timing will be late.
Checkpoint is just the opposite.
Checkpoint is the opposite. Now the heel of the left foot is on the floor the moment the ball starts the downward motion. So now what we see here, it's very simple. If you see that the right knee comes across the ball at the bottom of the swing, one-step late, period. Okay, what is now wrong with this one-step late timing? Very simple. We spoke about the body rotation. We spoke about the elastic tension. In bowling shot, we don't want to create that much elastic tension because it actually accelerates the swing. But what happens now is the ball is going backward, so that's the moment when we should start to create the body rotation. But when you're taking a right foot step at the same time, when the ball is coming here, it actually closes your hips and prevents your hips to rotate. So you can only rotate your upper body anymore, and now we're creating torque to the spine again. We're creating a lot of elastic tension to the body. You will figure this out at the end of the presentation pretty soon. So to be able to get the body to rotate, the hips to rotate, the upper body to rotate, actually we have to make this motion so that the hips and the upper body can rotate same direction. The timing has to be certain at the bottom of the swing to be able to get the hips and the upper body rotating same direction. You can see my hips and my shoulders are pointing same direction here. In this body position, I'm not creating any elastic tension. This is a very comfortable position. I can stay here all day. But if I go this way, I will not be here all day. This is going to hurt my back already a lot. Okay, so one-step late timing. What is the consequences of one-step late timing to the rest of the shot? Okay, swing. With very few exceptions, the swing is usually very low and very restricted. And often the swing puts shoulder into maximum flexion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the question is, what is the maximum mobility of my shoulder joint? Let's see. From here to here, that's about 260 degrees, right? Well, yes and no. It can actually be 360 degrees, but I need to do something. I need to open, what we call open the lock on the shoulder. If I move my shoulder backward, now I can easily make 360 degree here, no problem. But I need to move my shoulder. If I keep my shoulder in one direction, I cannot create any more swing than this. But also what happens here is now I create a lot of elastic tension to the shoulder, so actually the shoulder muscles work like a spring. If I swing now, pay attention what happens at the top of the swing. Remember from the
lady before after?
Remember the swing. That we wanted to do is the ball slow down, stop, change direction, and start to accelerate downward. So basically what we are looking for is this. If I don't move my shoulder, if I keep my shoulder in one position, let's see what happens. Now my hand is absolutely relaxed. Pay attention what happens at the top of the swing. Does the ball slow down and stop? No, it moves maximum speed and pulls down straight away. So this elastic tension in my shoulder is actually creating a lot of acceleration in the downswing. Okay, what happens if I accelerate the downswing? Now in bowling we have one small problem. It's the last hinge joint between your hand and the ball. If I accelerate my downswing, usually this happens. So my wrist breaks way too early. Or I need to use excessive force to be able to keep the wrist straight. Or how some bowlers solve the problem, put a wrist support. Is wrist support fixing the problem? No, it's not fixing the problem. It's fixing the consequence. But the problem is accelerating the downswing. The only thing wrist support does, it prevents me from breaking the wrist too early. But also it prevents me to create bigger, what we call release arc, and more revolutions. Wrist support is a great tool for killing revolutions. Which time we have? A few minutes. Okay, steps. Very common formula of the steps. Very often, first two steps are quite long, then third step is very short, fourth step is long again. Okay, fourth step. Here, if I take a long step, it closes my hips and creates a lot of elastic tension to my shoulder, my bowling shoulder, which means that I will accelerate the downswing for sure. Or another option we see very often is all of a sudden the last two steps start to slow down. So, okay, we slow down the speed of our body to the foul line, we slow down the speed of the ball at the same time, so now we cannot create ball speed. So we have option, we create revolutions or ball speed. I'm sorry, we cannot produce both anymore. Timing point 2 actually, usually it has no effect on when the downswing starts. Sometimes we can even see that it's actually late, the timing of the downswing. But then again, even though the timing of the downswing is late, we often see that for those same bowlers, for some reason, timing of the release is already early. So actually starting your swing later will affect the ball coming to the release earlier, not vice versa. That's for example, something I need to highlight so much for those good bowlers who decide that, okay, I know everything about bowling now, I will start to coach. Without any formal education, they start to coach. The first thing they look, okay, you're still sliding when you release the ball, okay, start the swing later. So you will get to the foul line before the ball. Sorry, the opposite thing happens. All of a sudden they are sliding even more. They should teach them that, okay, start your swing earlier. You have more time to actually do the swing. Your timing gets better, it's easier for you to swing the ball, you have more time to get to the foul line. All of a sudden, they stop before they release the ball. Release position, usually...
Which is the third step for...
What? Well, I'm speaking 5 steps only.
No, this is our third step. Release position is not the release position, maybe it's our release position, isn't it? The third step, is what I'm saying.
Okay. You confused me. Okay, release position. Now we're speaking about when we release the ball. What happens is always, with late timing, we see that actually the spine is very straight. And I mean, not here, so there might be some forward tilt, but sideways the spine is usually very straight. So what we see here is we don't have the space for the downswing. So very often we have to come around the hips on the downswing. Timing point 3 may be correct. I see some usually good bowlers with one step late timing, they are able to stop the foot before the release. But most of the bowlers with one step late timing, they are still sliding when they release the ball. Very few exceptions. I was looking, Diandra, she's good example. She's able to stop the foot quite well before the release, but then again, she's for some reason able to keep the body speed high towards the release. So she's definitely an exception. Okay, release, very small release arc, and usually very small release speed too. So basically bowlers with one step late timing, they are bowlers who are suffering to create ball speed and revolutions. Now, let's see what's the difference between optimal timing and one step late timing. So everyone please stand up. Is there any left-handers here? Okay. If you're smart enough to play with left hand, you're probably smart enough to understand it that when I say right for right-handers, I mean left for left-handers, and vice versa. So now, right-handers take a long left foot step. And now check that your hips are open about 40-50 degrees. Put your non-bowling arm in front of you, and now swing the ball to the level of your shoulders and keep it there. Keep it there. Okay, you see, no problem. Now, let's go other way. Now take a long right foot step. Long right foot step. And now put your non-bowling arm to the side of your body. And now swing again. And hold it there. Hold it, swing to the height of your shoulder and hold it there. Is this comfortable? Pretty sure. This is actually, hey, this is the difference between optimal timing and one step late timing. Which one felt more comfortable for your body? Okay. Okay, hey, thank you. 2 minutes late, not bad. Quickly, any questions? Thank you. Okay, let's go for a break.